We're in a very fascinating year in terms of Alzheimer's disease treatment and also diagnosis. We had many years, decades of failed scientific studies of possible interventions, possible medications, and finally, for the first time in probably about 2 decades, or no, yeah, 2 decades almost, we're finally getting some treatments that have promise. The newer treatments that are coming out right now, one that was just recently approved, a medication that goes by the generic name of lecanemab, is a monoclonal antibody. Now, what monoclonal antibodies do is they get into the blood. They're done by an infusion, maybe in the future by an injection, but right now infusions. They get into the blood, they get up to the brain, and these are molecules that will attach themselves to beta amyloid protein. Now, that is one of the abnormal proteins of Alzheimer's disease. And it's thought by many to be the start of the process. In fact, there are studies showing that this beta amyloid can start up to 15 to 20 years before a person ever has symptoms. So that bad protein is building up in the body, in the brain. And these medications that are coming out will help that be pulled out of the brain through our own immune systems. So monoclonal antibody sticks to the beta amyloid protein, and then our immune cells bring it out of the brain. And so if we can think about the possible future even of maybe being able to prevent the disease, as we further do research on biomarkers, these are markers that would indicate that someone has a disease. They could be blood, that could be based on the fluid from the brain, the cerebral spinal fluid analysis, or neuroimaging, where they can take pictures of the brain, and we already have some of that right now, that'll show that the bad protein is in the brain. And if we had a future that is, I'm hoping a brighter future, it would be identifying earlier and earlier cases when that load, the amount of that protein in the brain, is more manageable. And we can get that protein out of the brain and hopefully either slow down the progression, delay the progression or the start of the disease, or maybe even prevent the disease. So the future of this, combining a biomarker that will tell us the disease is there, plus one of these treatments that will remove one of the proteins that's often thought to be the initiator of the disease, we have a much brighter future ahead with terms of Alzheimer's disease. And that's very rewarding given the many decades of failed trials of agents.
Well, to that point, what have previous attempts looked like? And up until this point, drugs and treatments,
Sure.
what have they looked like, and how have they, how have they functioned, and how have they come up short in that sense?
So they've often studied different ways of attacking this disease. There have been some attempts at looking at anti-inflammatory treatments, so touching base on the inflammation that occurs in the disease. There have been attempts to look at the second abnormal protein, which is an abnormal protein called phospho-tau. It's a tau protein in the brain. It seems to be one that tracks more with the progression of the disease and comes on later in the disease. And it's led to what's called the amyloid hypothesis. So the beta amyloid, the bad protein, builds up in the brain early and then may trigger this abnormal tau protein, which is ultimately causing the death of the brain cells. And that's more linked then to when symptoms come on. So we've had a number of trials looking at how can we modify these through other kind of medicines that have been devoted to kind of interfering with the process, interfering with the production of these bad proteins. Most of these have failed, or they may have seemed to work but cause intolerable side effects that lead to more disability than the actual disease itself. So a lot of trials have failed to give us the results we need to get. And now finally, we're getting trials of agents, and one that was just approved by the FDA that showed different results.
So, oh, go ahead. Yes.
It's a little dryness and allergies,
Yeah.
as you know.
Well, and yeah, if you need at any point to stop and restart a sentence, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's totally fine.
No, I'm fine. Just wanted to take a sip.
So, okay, lecanemab,
So lecanemab is, so just to back up a little bit.
Yeah.
So in the summer of 2021, we had a medication and a company that produced that medication go to the FDA with data to support its use. Unfortunately, while they had one positive study, they had one negative study. And the FDA looked at it, but still gave it an approval. This was a controversial issue because usually in science you want two large studies. You want replication. You just don't want to rely on one study. It was approved by the FDA, but what Medicare then did, it said, we don't want to cover this at this time because we want to see more proof of effectiveness. And so they required people to be in a study to get that medication. And that study's ongoing. In fact, we at BAI here in Tucson, Banner Alzheimer's Institute, we're studying that through a study called the Envision study. And so we're doing that study with aducanumab, which was another monoclonal antibody, also by infusion. We're looking at the future. The future may be ability to do this through an injection, because the infusions are something that could be a barrier. People having to go to an infusion center, get an IV infusion, have to wait to make sure there's no reaction. There are studies now being developed where that same medication may be applied, for instance, with an auto-injector, to where they could inject themselves once a week and still get the medicine to the brain and to do the same thing that the current infusion medications are doing. And we have on the heels of lecanemab another agent, donanemab, one that we've studied here at BAI Tucson and also our other BAI clinics in Phoenix, that may be equally as effective as lecanemab, maybe even perhaps more effective. And there's hope that that might be available in 2024. So we're seeing real movement here in the terms of treatment of Alzheimer's disease.
Just total numbers wise, how many of these drugs, okay, you mentioned
Aducanumab,
yes,
lecanemab, and donanemab.
So that's three.
That's three. There's probably a couple of more in the wings, but there's been some that have done studies without evidence of efficacy. And so those companies have basically dropped any further research. But we have some interesting ones coming down the pike.
And do you think that the breakthrough there recently with these coming on board recently and showing that promise has been that move to the monoclonal antibodies, that particular strategy, do you think is what?
Well, that's a good strategy. But let me tell you that there are other treatments that are being studied. In fact, we're doing some other studies, and we're doing studies with the medication that reduces inflammation and hypothetically may actually block that amyloid protein, bad amyloid protein triggering the bad tau protein. And so we're currently doing a study with that agent, but we don't have data yet to show whether that's effective. There are other kinds of treatments that don't involve infusions that would be sometimes referred to as single molecule approaches. And I say that because these monoclonal antibodies are large proteins, and they have to be injected because when you swallow a protein, you degrade it. So that's why these monoclonal antibodies require either an infusion or an injection.
Seeing this happen and all of this momentum in the last couple of years, what has that done for you? Just how has that made you feel seeing this?
Oh, very excited about the field. I went into this field because I have passion for treating patients with this disease, a terminal disease. People die from Alzheimer's. It's just fascinating to me to see this research moving to the point of having things that are approved for use. And by the way, here, even at the U of A, we have a researcher, Dr. Brinton, who's studying some female hormones in the treatment of Alzheimer's disease. So there's other approaches, such as that one. And I think that we're going to see more and more medications, treatments come to the market as we get positive results from these studies.
And it's not necessarily one thing that triggered this then, it's just a matter of time, a lot of minds working on this for so long, and finally we're just kind of seeing this.
Yeah, and understanding the disease, because as you know, we can't biopsy, well, maybe you don't know, but we can't biopsy your brain. Every other organ, if we were trying to decide a treatment for kidney disease, we could biopsy live kidney, look at it in many ways. We can biopsy liver, heart, skin. We can't biopsy the brain. That's just not a good thing to do, right? And so we have lagged a bit because of not having that availability to really do a good scientific study of what's going on, so in the petri dish of a live brain tissue. But we've had the indirect methods, some of these imaging techniques that show us the bad proteins in the brain, analysis of spinal fluid, the fluid that surrounds our brain that also tracks down the spinal cord and can be taken with a lumbar puncture. And now we're moving ahead to blood tests. And there may be other tests that show a good correlation between the positive test and the probability you have the disease in the brain. So all of this science seems to be coming together in a very exciting way and giving promise and hope that we might actually achieve this goal of not losing another generation to this disease.
Well, you said, that's the excitement, is the potential of the near future.
Yes.
What still needs to happen until we get to that point?
Well, we need to continue developing and testing these treatments. So for instance, we know that these monoclonal antibodies do a bit more than the current conventional treatments for dementia, for Alzheimer's disease. They actually are labeled as disease modifying. Well, what's the difference? The medicines we've had up to this date are called treatments that improve symptoms, okay? They don't change the process of the disease in the brain. These would be things like, we'll use the brand names, Aricept, Exelon, Razodine, Namenda. These are treatments that are oral medications that get into the brain, and they change some things that may help improve memory, improve function, but they aren't actually attacking the cause of the disease. These newer treatments are looking at attacking the cause, modifying the disease, slowing the disease down, and hopefully maybe in the future preventing the disease in some individuals. And so this is really an exciting change in our field. And
that future, you think, is now only a few years away, you think?
Well, the future is now, is how I would label it, right? Because we have these treatments. We're very close to having blood biomarkers, which is a lot better than having a spinal tap, and less expensive than these more expensive neuroimaging techniques. So, we're really moving to coalesce both that testing of biomarkers coming forward to a point that it's going to be available and newer treatments that will help slow down the disease. Very exciting time.
Well, you said you have a passion for treating patients with Alzheimer's.
Yes.
Why is that?
Interesting question. I actually was the president of my society back in 2011 and 2012, and I had to give a presidential address, and I decided to give that address. Why do some physicians choose a field in geriatric medicine and maybe some in dementia care? And I think a biggest issue that came up from studies, not great scientific studies, is they often developed a passion for treating the elderly, often because of their relationships with older people in their life. So sometimes they had a special relationship with the grandparent. Sometimes the grandparent became their parent when the parents were unable to do that parenting. Or they may have had mentors in their education, and I was fortunate to have mentors that I looked up to that really inspired me that, hey, this is an important area to go into. And so I think you combine different factors and you become passionate about what you do.
Well, when you talk with families, with patients, but also with families, what sticks out to you when you're talking with the Alzheimer's patients and their families through that process? What keeps coming to your head when you do that?
Well, what sticks out to me is what keeps the passion fueled, which is a patient and family leaving and said, no one has ever done anything so comprehensive and offered us such a comprehensive treatment approach. So even though this is a terminal disease, even though we're just getting to the point of maybe modifying the disease and slowing the disease down, at BAI here and in Phoenix, and at our BSRI, Banner Sun Health Research Institute in Phoenix, we're offering hope. We work with families. We teach children and spouses how to deal with their loved one who has this disease. We counsel them. So many times the care partner, let's say a spouse, has depression. No one's even recognized that they're depressed from trying to help manage this disease. We focus on the care partner. We offer a very comprehensive, broad-based approach to care. And that's different than what they might have gotten when they see a doctor who says, look, this looks like Alzheimer's. Here's a prescription for medicine, bad disease, good luck, see you in a year. And they leave without hope there. So my passion is fueled when these patients end the first visit, and say, Dr. Anderson, this has been great. You've educated us. We now have hope. We feel so much better after seeing you. That fuels my passion.
You touched on it there too, but just why is hope specifically so critical when dealing with Alzheimer's?
Any illness, if you lack hope, you take away even that aspect of your being part of your treatment, right? Even in a bad disease like a cancer, at least there may be some hope that they'll find some treatment that'll help or assist you with what you're going to experience going through the stages of that cancer in terms of its effect on your body. So yeah, it's very important that people feel like there's others there to help them. The Alzheimer's Association, great association, Pima Council on Aging, we have places where people can have some of that hope. By the way, I'd be amiss if not mentioning that we have one other recent advance in the field, and that is for the first time this year we got an approval from the FDA of a medication to treat some of the behavioral symptoms. And as a geriatric psychiatrist, this is something I really often focus on. And some of these behaviors can be very dangerous to the patient, to the family member, if they're in an institution, to staff. So now we have a medication, brexpiprazole, first medication approved to manage agitated behaviors in dementia. So again, I think there's going to be more in that field growing. So a lot of excitement, a lot of new energies, new hope.
And finally, just to compare, how would you, when it comes to those talking with patients and families about those advancements, if you do get into that, about things on the horizon, how do your conversations now with all of this momentum compare to what they were like 5, 10, 15 years ago when there was still a lot of figuring things out and we didn't have these advancements?
I can tell you it's a lot easier conversation to have now than we did when we had very little to offer. Even back then, though, we were offering things that gave them hope and helped them cope. So, yeah, it's a little different because we now have a more biological way to provide some hope, but still, it's still important to give all the full comprehensive mode of treatment to these patients.